introduction to the Gateway. Just to get us started, some of our regular attendees will recognize this video, on which kind of sums up the reasons why we established the Gateway for those of you that are newer to it.
At Health Data Research UK, we passionately believe that health data innovation has the power to change the world, now more so than ever. However, finding high-quality health data for innovation is complex and difficult. Data is spread out and fragmented, held separately by thousands of organizations. And as health data is highly sensitive, ensuring safe and secure access to guard against misuse can be a time-consuming process. The whole system can appear opaque to outsiders, and people are rightly interested in what's happening to their health data. This lack of clarity is stifling innovation, and we at Health Data Research UK want to challenge this status quo. We want innovators and researchers to be able to easily discover health data resources that are so vital for their research. So, alongside our partners, with support from our funders and help from patient and public representatives, we are building a UK-wide network that helps innovators get safe and efficient access to a huge array of health data and resources. To lead this, we created the Innovation Gateway. This technology platform brings together the information that explains what datasets are available, what they are used for, how they are structured, linked, and accessed, and provides tools to analyze them. It facilitates discovery, shortens access times, and promotes analysis in safe and secure environments. All this through a transparent system that has been built with input from patients and the public. The Innovation Gateway frees up time for innovators and researchers, enabling them to concentrate on analyzing health data to create life-changing solutions. Like finding more precise cancer treatments, understanding the spread of COVID-19, or even exploring why patients respond differently to different treatments. We're just at the start of our journey. But together, we can ensure better research and health outcomes for generations to come.
So yeah, just to give a bit more background on from that video. So the Gateway launched in 2020 as part of Health Data Research UK as a common point to facilitate discovery and requesting access to UK health data sets. So when we were talking to researchers and beyond in the health data landscape, before we launched the Gateway, we were really kind of finding three main issues: that it was difficult to discover what health data sets exist in the UK, and there's not a single site to find out what's out there. And it's difficult to find out what the data sets contain. And this information obviously helps researchers decide whether these data sets would be of use to their specific research. And it's also difficult to find out how to apply for access and who to apply for access to for certain data sets. So the Gateway was really aiming to be the solution of this. So in terms of content, the Gateway has other health data resources to explore as well, such as tools and publications, but the main content is really kind of the data sets. So we have 677 data sets listed at the moment. The important distinction here is that the Gateway doesn't hold or store data. The data sets listed have technical metadata on the listings, which kind of is information around the data sets, and this means that the Gateway is helping researchers and users to kind of work out whether a data set would be of useful to their research using this metadata. So the data sets listed on the Gateway are from our UK Health Data Research Alliance members, i.e. kind of data custodians. So this is part of HDR's work as a broker organisation, convening the sector through this independent alliance of leading healthcare and research organisations who are united to establish best practice for the ethical use of UK health data for research at scale. And they're guided by principles for participation based on transparency and public benefit. And you can see it's a growing number listed here. And there's many kind of pillars of their work, so such as aligning the approach to kind of trusted research environments, aligning approaches around data standards and quality, data use registered, and then as also mentioned, they're making their data sets discoverable and available to request access to on the gateway itself. So if you go on the gateway, there is a search function and filters to help you discover data sets. I've accidentally covered it up here, but you can see them on the left-hand side. And then on each data set listing itself, you can see a description of the data set, and then also this metadata listed here. We work with the data custodians to provide as much detailed information as possible around each data set, which again allows users to understand whether a data set could be of use to their research. And if you find a data set of interest on the gateway, then you can request access to the data set. The gateway connects you up with the data custodian, either through a quick inquiry form, or you'll be taken to on what we've been working with the Alliance members, which is what we refer to as the Fivesafe form, which is a harmonized form based on the Office for National Statistics Fivesafe principles, which you actually might have heard more about if you're at our last open door. The idea behind this is to find which questions were being asked by each data custodian for their data sets. And we wanted to use these to create a common data form that works to streamline the process. So ideally get to the point where you as a researcher could request multiple data sets from multiple custodians by this one kind of harmonized form. So we're still at the start of that process. The form launched on the gateway in December 2020, and we've had 126 data sets requested through it so far. So I'm now going to introduce our speakers today. So we're joined by Neena, who is the Professor of Neonatal Medicine at Imperial, and Ricardo Ribas, who is the Project Manager. So the Neonatal Data Analysis Unit is one of our newest Alliance members, and they're going to be talking about the National Neonatal Research Database, which is now available for access on the gateway using this Fivesafe form. So Neena, I will now hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Let me share my screen. Can you tell me if...
Yeah, we can see that.
Oops, if that's come up.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, thank you very much, Vicky, for inviting us along, and I'm delighted to be here. As Vicky said, my name is Neena Modi. I'm Professor of Neonatal Medicine at Imperial College London, and with me today is Dr. Ricardo Ribas, who is our project manager. And I'm also delighted to see that a couple of members of our research group, at least when the names were flicking through quickly, are also on the call. So hello, Victor, and hello, Will. It's great to see friendly names and recognizable names on the list of attendees. But many thanks to HDR UK for inviting us along to talk to you about the UK's National Neonatal Research Database. I will start by just saying a little bit about our research group. So we are, as I say, a neonatal medicine research group based at Imperial College London. Our clinical base is Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, and the group numbers around about 25 or 26 individuals. And we're engaged in a very wide variety of research, which is all designed to or aimed at improving newborn care and newborn health, lifelong health outcomes. And one of the major focuses of our work is the National Neonatal Research Database, which I am here to tell you about today. The principle of that underpinned the creation of the National Neonatal Research Database, which, if you forgive me, I will refer to as the NNRD going forwards, because otherwise it's a bit of a mouthful, is, but I'll say it once more, National Neonatal Research Database, NNRD. The purpose of creating it was to harness the power of real-world clinical data to really reduce uncertainties in care, improve healthcare, health services, and monitor health, and I will tell you more about the various uses to which it's put. But I'd also like to tell you about neonatal care in the UK, because some of you on the call may not be familiar with this. So there are approximately 200 neonatal units in the UK, that's in England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. We operate in a managed network basis so that babies are transferred to higher or lower intensity neonatal units depending upon their care needs. But in the UK, every very preterm or sick newborn baby, almost without exception, is admitted to a National Health Service neonatal unit. There is pretty much zero private medicine in neonatal care, which is excellent. And the NHS neonatal units cater for all babies who require over and above normal care. So they could be a very, very sick full-term baby with multi-organ failure requiring the full range of neonatal intensive care support, or at the other end of the spectrum, an extremely preterm, extremely immature baby who might weigh less than 500 grams, who also requires a full range of intensive care support. And every sort of baby in between who requires over and above additional care. So as I say, there are 200 or so NHS neonatal units in the country. They admit between 10 to 15% of all births, operates in a managed operational network model. And there are 3 levels of neonatal unit. Intensive care neonatal units catering for the most sick, the most unwell babies, local neonatal units, and then special care units. And special care units are usually the ones which are closest to a mum's place of residence, unless she happens to live next to a neonatal intensive care unit. And they usually provide low intensity care and convalescent care for babies who no longer have intensive care needs and who are readying to go home. So the NNRD, the National Neonatal Research Database, is an award-winning national data asset. It was established in 2007 through a huge amount of collaborative effort between clinicians, parents, NHS managers, researchers, a great collaborative effort. So we're in our 15th year now. And it was based on the principle that clinical data, rich clinical data, the kind of information that's recorded in the patient's case notes, should be recorded once, and then should be in a safe, secure, well-governance way, should be available to improve patient care in a variety of ways. Clinical teams are under, and have always been under, but perhaps even more now, are under huge pressure. And it is wrong to ask them to record data repeatedly. Increasingly, with the use of electronic patient record systems, we now have the opportunity to record data once and well and quality assure it, and then make sure that it can be used in appropriate ways for multiple different uses, about which I will tell you. But that was essentially the underpinning principle when we set out to create this. And of course, the arrival of managed clinical networks, which followed a Department of Health report in 2003, really was part of the stimulus to enable us to do this, because with the frequent transfer of babies between neonatal units, there was clearly an important imperative for neonatal units across different hospitals, different trusts, to be able to share data instantly. So if a baby went from hospital A to hospital B, the data also went instantaneously and could be used to continue looking after that patient. So that was a great stimulus to create the NNRD. What does it contain? Well, it contains a defined set of clinical data, the neonatal dataset, which is an approved NHS information standard. That consists of about 450 or so clearly defined data items. And these are extracted at regular intervals from the electronic patient records of all admissions to all neonatal units in England, Wales, and Scotland. And Northern Ireland will be set to join in 2022. So that requires huge collaboration, because, of course, every single trust, NHS trust in the country, has committed and has agreed to contribute to the NNRD. So I'd like to say at this point, a huge thanks to my colleagues around the country for this absolutely fantastic collaborative effort. So the NNRD contains demographic data, daily treatments, procedures, diagnoses, and outcomes, all of which are recorded by clinical teams throughout the baby's inpatient stay. And because we have very sick babies and extremely preterm babies, you will understand that many of our patients are in hospital for often what is many, many months of care. Now, You all know the old adage, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So that's precisely what we want our data to be able to help do, to measure and to improve care for babies. Its regulatory status is that of a UK Research Ethics Committee approved longitudinal database. It's the basis of a cradle to grave patient level record, because of course we have data on babies, a certain amount of data on their mums, and then we have ability with the appropriate approvals to link to a variety of other health and non-health data sets. And our vision is really to create a cradle to grave, and indeed a cradle to grave to next generation database. To date, the NNRD contains information on over 1 million infants, and it contributes to about roughly £28 million of funded research and research units throughout the UK and some internationally. It shows, in effect, that it is possible to replace what we had previously, which was labor-intensive, expensive collections for each single purpose, with a single data source that can be used for multiple purposes. And this approach is now recommended for translation throughout the National Health Service. So just to go over again the data flows. So neonatal units enter data on all their patients into a patient-level electronic patient record. Those neonatal units are known as the UK Neonatal Collaborative, and every single neonatal unit in the UK is now a member. The data go into commercial electronic patient record systems, and at regular intervals, we extract out and have sent to us the items that comprise the neonatal data set, the 450 odd items, many of which are recorded daily on each patient. Those data are quality assured. We have a feedback loop for quality assurance. So, and we have analysed and evaluated the quality and the completeness of the data in our database, and we can put our hands on our hearts and say, it is very good, it can always be better, it is getting better all the time, but it is very good. We have a multi-professional steering board, which includes representatives from all our stakeholder groups, including parents, and then we make data available for approved users to support a multiplicity of different outputs, which I will tell you about in a moment. And we also have opportunity to link the NNRD to Office for National Statistics data, hospital episode statistics data, and now other sorts of health and non-healthcare data sets. So what has the NNRD done to improve care for babies? Let me give you some examples. So we provided data for improvements to health services. We've provided data to some recent high-profile NHS maternity investigations, such as the Morecambe Bay report in 2015, the East Sussex report in 2018. Research using the NNRD has shown, for example, that preterm baby outcomes are improved in high volume compared to low volume neonatal units, that outcomes are improved with one-to-one nursing care. This is a national ambition, it's a national standard, but sadly it's not yet attained throughout all neonatal units, but baby outcomes are improved for intensive care with one-to-one nursing. And we also showed that following a national reorganisation of neonatal services, which I alluded to, into managed clinical networks, we were able to show you using the NNRD that this did improve baby outcomes, and that was published in the BMJ in 2012. More recently, we've shown that care in specialised hospitals, in other words, hospitals which provide the highest intensity neonatal care, reduces preterm mortality and also reduces severe brain injury. We've shown over the years, we've contributed data to our national audits, and therefore we've been able to objectively measure the adherence to national care standards. In terms of national policy, the NNRD has contributed. For example, in 2017, Jeremy Hunt, who was then Secretary of State for Health, initiated a national ambition to reduce perinatal brain injuries, and we were commissioned by the Department of Health to provide data to monitor progress against this target at regular intervals. Our first report was published in 2017, and our second report is currently with the Department of Health. Just before Theresa May demitted office, some of you may remember she initiated a project to support the introduction of enhanced parental leave for babies who had been admitted requiring intensive care. And the Department of Business, Energy and Industry Strategy came to us for data on intensive care admissions to support what has now been introduced as a new policy initiative. But perhaps the most major use, not surprisingly, of the NNRD is to improve medical care and medical treatments. So we are currently part of a big international US Food and Drug Administration-led study to support the development of newborn medicines. Many of you in the audience may be shocked to know that in the entire history of medicine, there has been only a single medicine that has been specifically developed for newborn needs. Babies remain hugely underrepresented in medicine's development. Over 95% of our medicines are used off-label or off-license. And so it's really fantastic that the FDA has actually launched a major initiative to try and improve newborn medicines development. We also led, this was Imperial College work, we led the largest global study involving 90,000 infants of preterm weight gain, which is facilitating improved growth monitoring. We've helped identify best feeding practices for babies with brain injury. This was work done by another research team within the UK. We've shown most recently some very interesting data. This was published literally just a few days ago in BMJ Open, that during COVID-19 lockdown, there was indeed a fall in preterm admissions, which is attributable to a fall in preterm births, but novel data to show that this effect, this very positive effect, was most marked among our most deprived socioeconomic groups. So a really, really interesting and intriguing observation that requires further research. We've also shown a persisting north-south variation in preterm outcomes. And again, quite recently, we've shown that protection against necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a very severe inflammatory gastrointestinal disease that affects predominantly preterm infants and is a major cause of death, we've shown reduction from early feeding with own mother's milk. We contribute data to the Health Data Research Hub, Discover Now, also to the March of Dimes' first European Prematurity Research Centre, which is located at Imperial College, and we are part of the Department of Health funded Maternal and Neonatal Policy Research Unit. But what's coming? Well, these are some of our ongoing and planned developments. We are at an advanced stage of developing the NNRD AI, which is a version of the National Neonatal Research Database that contains data which has specifically been curated for data science, in other words, artificial intelligence and machine learning applications. We are also going to be developing the NNRD digital twin. This is a version that contains synthetic data. In other words, we want to be able to support researchers to explore the data within the NNRD without accessing real patient data. In other words, they can do this without concern about breaching patient confidentiality. This is a very, very exciting development indeed. We're developing NNRD clinical trials, and indeed we've done our first pilot randomized controlled trials, which have been enabled and made more efficient, cheaper, and quicker using the routine data already held within the NNRD. We are linking, I've mentioned we're linking to other data sets, and we're in discussions which are being really led by HDR UK about creating a new mother and baby data hub to bring together all of the data sets that can improve mother and baby care. We are wanting to link to sample collections. We've already got a newborn fledgling genomic database, which is linked to the NNRD, but we want to incorporate physiological monitoring data, imaging, and laboratory data. We've also just kick-started the creation of a consent to contact register so that we can improve access to research which is relevant to them, to the families of babies in neonatal units. And then one of my colleagues, Dr. Cheryl Battersby, is creating one of the world's largest longitudinal preterm birth cohorts, NNRD preterm, which will contain about data on about 500,000 preterm babies and will be one of the world's largest such resources. And then Finally, another new development is our creation of an international neonatal research database, eNewborn. What is this? Well, eNewborn, it started off as a pan-European benchmarking platform for neonatal units. It is now moved to Imperial College as an international, with a widened remit, as an international neonatal research database. The UK NNRD is feeding into eNewborn, and so are neonatal units around the world. We currently have representation from some 350 international neonatal units in 15 countries, and the number is growing on a daily basis. And we will be using eNewborn, our international neonatal research database, to again support a variety of outputs to improve global newborn care. So before I call on Ricardo to show you a little bit more of the gateway, let me just summarize by saying that patient data can improve patient well-being in a multiplicity of ways across the patient benefit pathway, from audit, quality improvement, research, observational studies, epidemiological research, therapeutics development, and so on and so on and so forth. The same data set can be used to improve multiple kinds of outputs. There are huge opportunities to avail ourselves in the future through linkage, through advances in technical data handling, through international collaboration. That's not to say that we don't face some challenges. We have a fragmented NHS across providers and across 4 nations. We also have some NHS research divides in relation to regulatory and operational aspects. And HDR UK has been at the centre stage, and I'd like to say thank you to colleagues at HDR UK for helping broker some of the discussions that are really addressing some of these challenges. And then finally, of course, as with everything in real life, we have the challenges of resourcing our infrastructure and our development requirements. So let me now ask Ricardo to share his screen, please. I will stop sharing, and we'll just take you through some of the ways in which you can view the NNRD through the gateway.
Yeah. 1 second, see if I can.
So Vicky showed you some of the opening slides, which indicate to you how you can see the NNRD. So if you log on to the gateway page on the website, you can search for National Neonatal Research Database, and this will come up. And then there's a brief description which summarizes much of what I've spoken to you about today. And then it asks, there's a button there, a blue button that says how to request access. If you click that button, it will take you through to a page which will guide you through the process. Now you can also access data through our Imperial College website, but we're absolutely committed to trying to standardize requests. And so increasingly, we hope that requests will come through the gateway and then be passaged onto us rather than coming directly to us. But as Vicky said, we're at the start of that journey. I think we've had, since we went live, we've now had, I think, two requests for further information through the gateway, but no fully fledged requests as yet, but we are in the very early days. And then if you are interested, you can start an application or you can make an inquiry. And Ricardo, let me, yes, keep pressing those buttons. Thank you.
If you want, I can just go to.
Yeah.
Just take us through those next steps, please.
Yeah, you can also make an inquiry as well, which is what Neena said, where you can kind of ask more information about the data set as well. That was the additional button.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we were before, so just click on how to request. It gives you all the information, as Neena said, all the start of the process and all the steps that you need to go through. And then as he was saying, you can either make an inquiry directly here, or you can start your application, and then just take you to the Fivesafe form application that is just very straightforward to complete.
Great, thank you very much, Ricardo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've just got one more slide now, so let me go back to sharing my screen, and then very happy to open up to discussions. There we go. the last slide, the most important one, which is to say thank you to everyone who's contributed to this. That's the UK Neonatal Collaborative, who are all the neonatal units in the UK. Of course, our patients and their families, and all of they have been hand in hand with us throughout this journey. So many, many thanks indeed. My wonderful research group, without whom none of this would have been possible. The chairs of our steering board, Professor Kate Costello and Professor Andrew Wilkinson, and you will see the names of all of the stakeholder representatives here representing Wales, Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, BLISS, the National Newborn Charity, NHS England, parent representatives, trainees, neonatal network managers, primary care, neonatal nurses. So a great thanks to all of you for helping us along this journey. As I say, we're in our 15th year, and I just love to think about what the next 15 years are going to bring. So thank you very much indeed.